I'm live for the first time on YouTube. Wow, this feels so exciting. Don Wilson here, leader of the BC Libertarian Party, family lawyer, and close to being one of the top 1,000 movie reviewers on YouTube. And with your help, I will get there soon. I've never done a live video before. I don't really expect anybody will be joining me on here, but I was having a lot of technical difficulties with this video. I tried about a dozen times. And anyways, I gave up on that and decided to just try a live stream just to get this up because I was tired of trying a way that wasn't working. So tonight I'm reacting to Alita, Battle Angel, a movie I saw last night. Alita is the latest project of James Cameron and Robert Rodriguez. James Cameron, of course, is famous for directing Avatar, for directing Titanic. Before that, Terminator 2, Alien, True Lies, and The Abyss. There are probably others, but those are some great ones. James Cameron has now really a legacy of films that tend to define the time that they're in. Even though they're pop films, they're pop action films, they really have a cultural impact, at least with how they look. I apologize if I sound a bit funny tonight. I bit my tongue and I'm finding it a bit hard to pronounce my S's, so I will try to avoid using words that are superlatively. I was trying to use the word S to say that I'm not going to use the word S, but it's not coming to me. Anyways, if I'm slurring or saying my S is funny, now you know why. I bit my tongue, like I said, and I'm stumbling over the tongue a little bit. James Cameron, great director, at least visually. I think you have to give him that. He makes these sort of iconic, very cool action films, and really he has succeeded once again here with Alita, Battle Angel, although this was directed by Robert Rodriguez, who directed Sin City, and that didn't make it any less cool. The film really worked. I didn't know anything about it going into the movie. I just saw a few movie trailers in recent weeks or months. This movie is based on a manga and an anime, neither of which I've seen, and frankly, neither of which I had heard of before seeing these trailers. Well, actually, until more recently than that, when I looked up this movie a little bit. I saw the trailers. I thought this looked like it could be a cool action movie, with cool visual effects, a cool sci-fi movie, perhaps. And it certainly succeeded on all of those levels. It visually was exceptional, absolutely extraordinary visual accomplishment. Cameron's attention to detail is so unparalleled, really. I think I can say nobody makes a movie. I realized I'm going to say nobody makes a movie that looks quite like him, and I'm realizing as I say that I said something very similar about movies I've reviewed recently, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse and Vice. Okay, they are both those movies were very novel-looking movies. All right, but in terms of the visual effects, like the sci-fi world, kind of aesthetic, I really think nobody is at the level that James Cameron operates at. It's a personal opinion. Looking at Avatar and now this movie, like the way the CGI is worked seamlessly into the movie to create a seamless whole, I just can't really think of any other filmmaker that is able to achieve that. And I think it points to probably a painstaking level of control or attention to detail that Cameron brings to his projects. And I've heard he can be a very painstaking person to work with, but it certainly shows through. Watching this movie is a joy visually. There's so much craft. It's not opulent or gaudy. It's just really just a fine. There's so many fine points in the visuals that make it so enjoyable just to watch. It's like a painting sometimes throughout. I don't know. Is that too much to say about a sci-fi action cyborg kung fu movie? I don't know. I mean, I found it painting-like at times, and it's a real craft in the visuals of these movies that are unparalleled by any other movie creator, in my humble opinion. Cameron's movies define the time that they're released in, and I really think, in a way, Alita has done the same here again. The way this movie looks is brand new. It sets a new bar for what visual effects need to be, or can possibly be. So Cameron succeeded in doing all of that once again. He succeeded in doing a lot more, and I shouldn't cut out Rodriguez. There's no reason for me to cut him out either. Obviously, he's the director. He did a great job. So in addition to the movie working very well visually, I mean, honestly, I think it's worth it just to watch it for the visual accomplishment. Also, the crew is excellent in it, I think, with the CGI. It's some great fights in that. In the movie, the character design, some of these villains are so cool to look at, and again with these intricate level of details. I felt like I could have just stared at these character models for a very long time and appreciated the level of complexity and intricacy in these designs alone. But you didn't have to, because the scenes kept on moving, and the story kept on moving. So, like I said, excellent visuals, great choreography worked in with these exceptional character design elements, flawless. I don't know if I would say flawless CGI, but excellent CGI, masterful CGI, and visual effects. All of that just throughout the movie, killing it. Really enjoyable on that perspective alone. And again, for me, that was all so well done. Certainly an enjoyable, on that basis alone, would be an enjoyable night out to the movies, and worth putting some money down to see that level of craft just for the visuals alone. But Cameron also has an uncanny ability to make these stories that have this sort of near mythic elements or aesthetic to it, or what am I trying to say here? I mean, he tells these stories, particularly in Avatar. Somehow the story worked there, where it's in the hands of any other director, or storyteller, even, a lot of those elements could kind of come out as sort of trite. And you get this feeling of a story that's been told 1,000 times before, but somehow he tells it in a way that makes it feel more, to me anyways, like an original telling of a myth. And that's why the story is so recognizable, if I can say that. So he does that again here. This is the story of the hero's journey, but he feels like the story, when you're watching the story, you are watching the prototypical hero's journey in a way. Like, it's very, very rewarding, very told in a very rewarding way. It didn't feel to me derivative. It felt very organic and full of rewarding lessons that come from that journey. The movie was also about this young girl cyborg, Alita, developing into what she is, and there was a lot developing into what she is, rediscovering what she is as she starts the film unaware of her own history. But through that process, the movie makes deft analogies to the process of a young girl growing up into womanhood. So there's these sort of parallel storylines going on, or at least parallel symbologies, that I thought worked really, really wonderfully. And throughout the film, they also make good use of symbolism that works both in the local story of this character Alita, going through this Iron City, and also simultaneously this parallel story of the metaphysical story being told of not just the hero's journey, but of the journey of a young girl growing to womanhood, and and the general not just a girl growing to womanhood, but the journey to adulthood, I suppose, for anybody. Like, so there was these several parallel symbolic stories being told simultaneously quite well with this main story arc of a kung fu cyborg CGI Supergirl. And I thought all of those elements were done deftly. So apart from the great visuals, there was a few times in the movie where I actually got shivers, like my hair stood up on ends, on the ends of their hairs. What the hell am I trying to say? I got goosebumps. You know what I'm trying to say? I got goosebumps a few times because I felt the movie was really speaking, to me and to all of us on sort of this deeper level, these multiple levels. It was addressing all of these things quite deftly. I did have a couple criticisms of the movie, and indeed early on, I wasn't enraptured right away. I didn't fall in love right away. It took a little while for me to really click in, and it was really the first big fight scene that turned off all of my cynicism about it, and I just fell in love with that, because again, any one of those was cool enough to be worth being there. And there was a number of those. So there was some of the story felt a bit like they were gesturing at it. Not all of it was transcendental storytelling. Some of it was a little bit just fill in the blanks or a little bit mailed in. One of the characters I felt a little bit was like a placeholder for X type character in the story. I'm not going to say who I think it is, just because you can go watch it and maybe you'll know who I'm talking about and maybe you won't. But there was one character who was not as interesting really nearly as any of the others. And he sort of it didn't really matter that particular actor or character was who he was. He just needed to serve a role in the story. The other criticism I have is with how it ended. I was really, really excited about this movie throughout most of it. And like I said, getting goosebumps and getting to that sort of airy feeling of wanting to give this movie 5 stars as I'm getting towards the end, and it's getting to the climax of it, and all these just amazing things are happening to these cool characters, and it's setting up for more cool things to be happening. But the movie ends rather abruptly, and I didn't expect it to end where it ended. There's a whole lot more of the world and conflict really with these characters that isn't resolved yet by the end of this movie, and I was hoping that it was going to be. So I was a bit disappointed with that personally. Sorry for all these beeps and bops going off. If you can hear them. If you can't, then I'm sorry, I'm apologizing. So those were 2 criticisms I have from the film that just broke me out of my ecstatic experience of it. But apart from that, absolutely masterfully executed piece of entertainment. Just a great pop action movie. A ton of fun, created with a ton of love and attention to detail. Absolutely recommend going out and watching this. I think if you like that kind of thing, or fighting scenes, or cool visual effects, or cool CGI, or cyborgs, good character design, or the hero's journey, or the story of becoming an adult, or humanity, or I mean, a lot of people I think will like this movie. Well, you know who you are if you like you like any of those things, or sci-fi. I think I was watching this movie, and I'm watching Cameron just make this excellent sci-fi world, and I'm thinking, why didn't Disney ever get James Cameron to make the Star Wars sequels? Like, how is that? Did anyone think about that? Maybe he turned the job down or something like that. But I mean, how good is this guy at making a world? And at least, even if you don't like James Cameron, I think you'd say he's at least a competent storyteller. He's not like a J.J. Abrams or Ryan Johnson who's just kind of throw up a bunch of random characters and storylines and then try to kind of improv them after the fact, right? At least Cameron will have a beginning, middle, and end, and tell a story, and he'll do so in a cohesive, excellent world. So I was thinking of that briefly while I'm watching this movie. Like, man, they should have got Cameron to do the new Star Wars movies. Like, what were they thinking? Like, that would have been I think that would have been a home run. Anyways, we all know how that went. So check out this movie, and there's probably things I'm not saying. I mean, who is in it? I'm forgetting the young girl's name. I didn't look it up before I started making this video. I think she's probably going to be a sensation pretty soon. I think this movie will have some legs and become a bit of a cultural phenomenon. Maybe not so much in America, but certainly worldwide. I think it's going to hit. She was great in it, the main lead. Just really charismatic person, very sweet personality at times, and believably tough at times. Just such a likable hero, somebody you really wanted to kind of follow, a likable person, like, or an interesting person you wanted to follow, and you wanted her to succeed. I wanted her to succeed, I should say. I cared about what happened to her, and yet I could empathize with her. I think that's the right word. I could sort of, all those things. I could feel with her and feel for her. When she felt fear, when she felt struggles, I wanted her to overcome them. And that's partly writing, but it's also in her acting. Like, just her embodiment on screen was definitely, definitely a pleasure to watch. She was just by turns, like I said, sweet or cute, inquisitive, shy, angry, proud. The human emotions, I guess, is what I'm saying. But she definitely she acted well. Mahershala Ali was also in this movie. I'll figure out how to pronounce his name one day, maybe. You may remember him from my review of The Green Book. You see, there was a reason you were watching these movie reviews. Mahershala Ali. That's probably got to be pretty close. He plays a villain in this movie. He was pretty cool. He's a cool villain. And like I said, I'm trying to make a reaction video. I have been looking up about this video, but I didn't prepare the actors' names and all that. You can go look up who's in it. That's easy enough to do if you want, or just go out and see it if you like, action, sci-fi, or romance films. It's fun, it's earnest, and it's masterfully done in a lot of its major elements. Alita, Battle Angel, tremendous success. I think I might. It's a movie I might go see again. If some other friends haven't seen it, I definitely would watch that again. So thanks for joining me. Nobody joined me on my first live stream. Now you'll see me, raw here. Normally I edit all the bloopers out, but, I think that was pretty good. Thanks for your time.